The toughest part with lying is that you have to always come up with different scenarios and remember the lies that you have told before. Sometimes you might wonder, how come that person's such an asshole without even realizing it? Well, narcissists don't care. They only follow their own agenda. And to paint a picture, to exemplify how they burn the bridges in all of their relationships, we will be talking about how to alienate and make enemies out of people. Basically being straight up toxic.
Many people read books on how to win friends and be more social, but not today, not us. Maybe you want to learn how to lose your friends and be an annoying, toxic asshole, so people will avoid you for the rest of your life. That way, you won't have anyone to share your happiness or sadness, and you can be all by yourself on your deathbed, remembered and cared by no one. And that is a pretty awful place to be in. But since the train to Lonely Land departed, our journey has started.
Truth be told, there are some instances where you have to be a little bit toxic. And by toxic, I mean straightforward, without jeopardizing your own values and your wishes. In those situations, you will be recognized as being toxic, but in reality, you are just choosing your own interests above others. You know how it is nowadays. Telling the truth will make people to call you toxic, weird. They'll be triggered and call you no good son of a bitch.
And the first step to becoming a toxic person is to always boast about yourself. If someone tells you they work out, you tell them right away that you lift more than they do and that you're going 6 days instead of their measly 4. Always, and I mean always, state how inferior and mortal they are compared to you and your godlike capabilities. See, if you ask them what kind of workout they do or what is their diet, you might appear human, and that is a terrible thing. They might actually like the conversation and invite you to work out together. But this is no time for making friends. It's time to show them that you're faster, stronger, and if you want to make them despise you instantly, just tell them how superior your IQ is. Works 100% of the time, every time.
The funny thing is that those kind of people, narcissists, don't see anything wrong with that kind of a behavior because in their minds, the world revolves around them. They're the fastest, strongest, smartest. Instead of having a conversation and sharing different experiences, they will think that their approach to life is much better than yours, automatically, presupposing that you are dumb and don't know anything about what you're doing. This is why they will cut you off and suggest their own views and ideas within the topic that you are covering. All of us have those kind of people in our vicinity. And you think that they should be lonely, miserable because they don't have any people liking them, but in reality they attract similar-minded ones. The birds of a feather flock together. And if you are not careful, not self-aware enough, you'll become prey for one of those kinds. And bragging about your own achievements and what you're good at is such a douchey way of going. When you interact with people, nobody cares about you loving yourself. They care about the value that you can bring to their life. See, when you're conversing with someone, you're not trying to make yourself good. Your option is to make them feel good. And by talking about yourself, by boasting, by humbly sharing your own achievements will not result in anything positive from that conversation.
Become the worst listener. If that didn't cut it, and I really doubt any sane person would like to be friends with you after making them feel bad every time they see you, well, then you can kick it up a notch. Simply become the worst listener there is. I mean, why should you care what the other person have to say? What matters is what you have to say. While they're talking, either look to the side uninterested, yawn, or better yet, think about the next cool and interesting story that you're going to tell. Make everything revolve around you. That'll teach them to never again call you or invite you anywhere. And if all else fails,
he is literally describing a narcissist. I was laughing when I heard this part first time, because I know a person whom I had to introduce myself like 5-6 times. Every time when we meet up, he's like, "Hi, my name is John." And I was like, "Johnny boy, we've met before like 5 times." And he doesn't even care, because in his head, you are NPC of his own story, lacking any ability empathizing with others, trying to put yourself in their shoes. And that, my friend, is a sure way to catastrophe. The ability to listen carefully to people is a skill that must be developed and practiced all the time. You know the moments when you're having a discussion with someone, and instead of actually listening to what they're saying, you are building up sentences in your head, trying to come up with what you will say next. And when you two go separate ways, the only thing left is the feeling all information gets lost into the oblivion.
There is a foolproof 3-step formula. Dale Carnegie said, criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes them strive to justify themselves. Criticism is dangerous because it wounds a person's precious pride, hurts his sense of importance, and arouses resentment. And for us, it is the perfect recipe to make you hated and despised. Criticize whenever you can, as much as you can. If someone makes a mistake, be sure to publicly make everyone know about it. You can also exaggerate a little bit, so we can be sure that the person really hates your guts. Condemn people for their behavior without first asking why, and also religiously complain about absolutely everything.
I made a video about arguing and how it doesn't resolve anything in life. It's like, what do you expect? By calling people names, by belittling them, by devaluing them, you think that they will follow your lead. Like calling to customer services and cussing them out for different things that don't work for you. Or shouting at personnel, workers in a grocery store, trying to make them feel bad about themselves because your self-worth isn't on its highest note. Toxicity is like a wildfire. It spreads very fast.
The goal is to make people associate you with negative emotions like anger, frustration, envy, pride, arrogance, and so on. Try to check as many of these as possible. Jealousy is your friend. Not like a real friend, you know, you're trying to get rid of them, but whatever, jealousy is your friend. If your buddy's business is doing great, be jealous of him and always mention the worst case scenarios. That his company might fail, someone might rob him, his product isn't good and you wouldn't use it personally. Remember, there is no win-win situation. If someone else is winning, then apparently you're losing.
This is a crab in a bucket mentality. When someone trying to climb up that bucket, a toxic person will always drag them down, giving negative feedback, hating on success, not appreciating the results and effort, always being negative and pessimistic. I haven't succeeded, why should you? Well, maybe because you're sitting here on your ass and complaining 24/7 instead of actually putting in the work. There's another saying, misery loves a company, and those toxic people will always gravitate to pure-minded people. Yet again, if you're not careful enough, you will become a prey for such an abomination. Understand that that's their nature, and for them to change their minds, they have to come into a realization on their own. This is why you shouldn't stay in a toxic relationship, regardless if you have been friends for a long time. If you at some point realize that you want to grow and become better, but your friend or another near person wants to drag you down and make sure that you will stay at the same level, you have to snip it and never look back.
If your friend finds a cute girl, start to mention all of his flaws in front of her. If you don't have a cute girl to talk to, neither will he. What? What is that? Your buddy's girl might have cute friends you could talk to? Nah, it's better this way. He's not your friend, jealousy is your friend. And lastly, just lie to people. This is by far the easiest way to lose people's trust and also their company. Build your life upon lies, make it a habit, and then do it subconsciously. The funny thing is that you can amplify the effect of the previous steps if you just start to lie. Lie when you're boasting about yourself, lie when you're telling stories, and lie when you're criticizing someone in front of others. Bonus points if you lie to your close friends or your significant other. I mean, it's so easy to lie, it couldn't possibly be a bad thing.
The toughest part with lying is that you have to always come up with different scenarios and remember the lies that you have told before. Otherwise, you are running a risk to be entangled and slip over your own pile of lies. Hey, but sometimes lying does help. I won't deny that, but there are levels to this shit. The small lies that you tell yourself subconsciously in order to justify you being an asshole. Or the lies you sometimes have to tell so that you can save someone a heartache. This is not about moralizing. This is about surviving. And lying too much too often will make you an easier target for public humiliation.
Those are the few steps that you can easily follow to make you one hated, friendless, and unhappy person. But in all seriousness, if you want to live a happier life, create long-lasting relationships, and make people truly like you, just try to do the opposite of everything that was mentioned in the video. Because I think the world has its fair share of envious people, friends who criticize and condemn, toxic individuals, and people who lie.
Understand that all of these qualities are natural to people, where it becomes devastating to your life when those take over you and you don't have any control of your own feelings. For example, you can feel envy towards someone who has more success, more charisma, more education, but instead of dwelling, letting that envy corrupt you, you transform it into something positive and let it motivate you to improve yourself. Toxic people are unavoidable. How will you defend yourself against them? Watch this video. What is one of your toxic traits that you think is positive for you? Tell me in the commentary section. But for now, Hossein out.